Welcome back to another episode of Access Your Mastermind, where we're keeping it real, raw, and relatable on the journey to success. Today's episode is a powerful one. We're diving deep into Napoleon Hill's principle of faith, but not just the surface level kind. We're talking about how faith shows up in our healing, in our setbacks, and in the way we rise again. Our guest is the remarkable Laura Love Truesdale, a licensed social worker, master addiction counselor, trauma expert, and heart healing practitioner. With years of experience guiding adolescents and adults through trauma, mental health, and addiction recovery, Laura brings not only clinical wisdom, but a deeply personal perspective on the role faith plays in transformation. Whether you're facing your own challenges or helping others navigate theirs, this episode will speak to your soul. So lean in and let your mind and heart open.
Hello,
Hi.
Lauren.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Laura. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so looking forward to getting to know you better and chatting with you about our topic of Napoleon Hill's principle of faith. So, yeah, looking forward to a
Yeah,
great show.
I am as well. Thank you again. This will be fun.
Yeah, Laura. So what we want to do at Access Your Mastermind is like we want to give real experiences of individuals who are on their way to success, and just like the obstacles, the challenges, and the sunny days that we go through. On
Hmm.
our road to success. And today, in this episode, we are going to be talking about faith, as Juliet said. And so yeah, let's just dive in. And Laura, I would like to just begin this question over the topic of faith.
Okay.
As you now, you have 27 years as a therapist, so that's your background. But stepping into a new coaching atmosphere and space, I'm sure it takes a lot of faith because it's kind of stepping into the unknown. So,
Oh,
so
yes.
yeah, share with us about your experience with stepping
Well,
into
I'm
this.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So, as a therapist, I'm trained in a lot of traditional types therapies and traditional way of doing things. And so over the last several years, I've expanded my my skill set as well as my understanding of things in a much larger context. And one of the things that happened that was true, I think, is a blessing and stepping out in faith is I took the opportunity to participate in Napoleon Hill Institute offering, and that connected me and inspired me to become a part of the Miracles coaching program. And that really just set the ball rolling and really has elevated me to a completely different place. I've always been a pretty timid person, which is kind of funny when people meet me that they don't think that. But I kind of just stick to what I do, right? I've done that for 27 years. I'm good at what I do. But I would say in the last several months, being part of Napoleon Hill Institute and my whole mindset, which is a big part of it, has shifted. One to something that's way more expansive. I'm a huge believer in positive mental attitude and affirmations, or as now I'm calling them auto suggestions. But I took a big leap of faith of taking an opportunity to be a part of the Napoleon Hill Institute. And I will say that has been the most life-changing event for me. It has actually created what I feel like is the happiest time of my life so far. I'm excited every day. I do have a greater sense of faith. I've always had a faith in my higher power. I believe in God, but faith has taken on a new meaning, not only in the belief of a higher power, but also faith in myself and faith in the universe, and that everything is going to work out and is always working out for me, even in the even in the things that might be seem as stepping backwards, it's propelling me to something greater. So I hope I just answered your question well, that it really was a step of faith in moving outside of my traditional ways of thinking into a much broader and more open mindset about how I function in the world and how the universe functions back. So
Wow. Yeah. Julie, do you have a comment? I
Yeah,
saw
no, I wanted to know,
that.
can you tell me, like, you said that it was like a life-changing event for you. What changed? What was like the big change that you would notice?
I've changed. So and what's beautiful is that people recognize this change. My partner recognizes my change, just clients recognize my change, friends. It's just I am a different person. I feel like I operate on just this higher level of being very positive, optimistic. I know things are working out. I'm I have a sense of joy and peace that I don't think I've ever experienced before. Um, every day is exciting and fun for me. Like even on the days where I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to get up for the self-discipline camp at 5:30. I get up and I enjoy the day. And it's just, I don't know. I just feel like that I'm in a completely different level now compared to where I was maybe even 6 months ago. I've been working a lot on my own personal healing and development, but there's something about really understanding the principles of success and applying them that has just elevated me. I mean, one prime example is I'm here with you guys on a podcast. I mean, that would most probably 6 months ago, I would have said, no, nope, not doing that. I
Wow.
just act differently and I engage in my world differently and I'm standing out taller and bigger than I ever have. Like I'm no longer seeing myself as just being happy in this, like where I'm at right now. I'm so excited for where I'm headed, if that makes sense. So I just feel like I don't know, I think I've said it multiple times and Nick has maybe heard it when we've been in study groups together, is like I am the happiest I've ever been right now in my life.
Oh, that's amazing. Love to hear
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing.
You had mentioned your faith in context of like you have faith in a higher power, you believe in God, and that people often associate faith when they hear that, they think of a religious belief. But Napoleon Hill frames that as more of like a mindset tool.
Mhm.
So, how do you define faith in your own success? Like, what would you say is different about the faith that you have in a religious context to the faith that you have in this, like, I would distinguish it as a spiritual context?
Right. So my concept of faith has expanded, I think has broadened my connection with my higher power, but I truly feel that faith is now more of a mindset, more of a way of viewing the world. And also it's really kind of become more internalized as faith in self as well, knowing that there is this beautiful interplay with my personal self, with my higher power, with the universe, that I'm part of something, a big collective of of minds and energies that it's just a new sense, a new way of being. It just feels like a way of thinking about, like, faith is more than just my belief in a higher power. It's a belief in myself. It's a belief in the whole interconnectedness of our spirituality, our mindset, our environments. It's just all of it. And I think the way that we look at the world, um, it's much more broader and beautiful when we have an attitude and a mindset of faith in
Wow.
something larger than ourselves, but also faith in ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you explain that. And I think it's just important to think of that distinction because I know a lot of times, like with the religious belief, and I think I've said this with one of our other guests as well, is, that's putting faith in something sort of outside of yourself. But this is more like bringing that faith into yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how
Yeah.
I would like differentiate that. And it sounds like you feel this similarly, if not the same.
Absolutely. I think that faith in something larger than ourselves, but also there's an intimacy that faith is within, and then there's that interconnectedness between that whether it's infinite intelligence, whether you call it God, universe, that there's this interconnectedness of our human self and that larger spiritual being or influence that we may identify in different ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One of the other things I wanted to touch on is, you're talking about how much like faith is about believing in yourself, right? But it's also,
Mhm.
I think it's about trusting the process too,
Right.
So
Mhm.
how do you, trust the process, the people around us, and even like the kind of unseen forces that, like you said, are working in our favor? How do you cultivate faith in those areas?
That's a good question. I think one of the biggest ways in which I do that is I really work very intently to challenge my doubts. Because again, doubts to me are um, not always rational thoughts, and they're worried about things that are outside of me that I can't control a lot of times. And so I have to internalize that I am the ability or have the ability to be the creator of
Yes.
the life that I want. And so if I don't have faith in myself and I don't challenge those doubts, then I'm what's standing in the way of that vision I have for myself. And so it's a lot of work about, to me, thought challenging is a big part of what I do. So if I have a negative thought like, oh, I can't do this, or oh, this isn't going to work, I have to literally stop and ask myself, like, is that based in any fact that I can't
Mhm.
do this or that it's not going to happen? And because a lot of times we base things in irrational thoughts, not in facts, and we have to look at like where's the evidence that I can't do it? There is no evidence. And is it 100% true 100% of the time that I can't accomplish something? No. And is that positive or productive for me to stay in that thought? No. So if I answered no to any of those questions that I asked myself, I have to reframe my thought and come up with something that's more workable. And that is, I have a lot of times it's using auto suggestions or affirmations to remind myself I have everything I need. Everything is always working out for me.
Yeah.
As long as I do the work, I'm going to achieve the result. So those are the ways in which I challenge self-doubt that leads me at times to feel like my faith is wavering, but it's not. It's the ego part of me, the human self part of me that likes
Mm.
to create this paradigm that I can't do it. And I have to challenge that that's a paradigm given to me. That's not my paradigm.
Wow. Yeah, I really do like that you say that, like challenging doubts. That it's inspiring because sometimes, the doubts are just thoughts, right? So, challenging our thoughts. You know, are, is it a fact that I'm not able to do this? No, it's not. It's not a fact. So let me reframe that. Yes,
Right.
yeah.
Because thoughts are not always facts, right? Like we can have a thought and it can just be something that someone gave us a long time ago in our history, and we've held on to it. Our unconscious mind has held on to it, loves to throw it back at us whenever we're having these moments. But we have to challenge, like, is that my thought or is that something that was given to me? And sometimes our environments give it, our culture gives it, maybe even our parents or our past experiences, but that was never my thought. It was something given to me. So I get to
Wow.
choose what I think, and I get to choose to challenge those thoughts that are not moving me towards what I want for myself.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to formulate a question on that. Um, but yeah, I'll have to come back because I'm still working it out in my head.
If I may, Laura, have you always thought like this, or maybe you used to think like this, but just didn't identify that it would that you've been using these principles from Napoleon Hill?
Yeah,
Have
like I think I had an aha moment one day in one of the Study and Grow Rich groups where we were talking, and I was like, I've been doing this for a really long time. Um, as a cognitive behavior therapist, I do a lot, with the belief that our thoughts become trigger emotions, our emotions trigger behaviors. So there's a lot about our thoughts do become things. And so I've worked with that as a therapist for many, many years, but then combining my clinical skills also with the concept of this sense of faith and spirituality, it all to me just starts to make so much sense that I've been doing this work not only as a therapist, but personally. And then as I've continued to participate in my own healing, and all the different forms that that's come in, I start to realize that that's why I aligned so much with Napoleon Hill Institute and all, you know, all the principles that I've been learning. I'm like, this makes so much sense because it just resonates with me and how I think. And obviously it's expanded my thinking even so much more. And it fits. It's kind of like when you find that thing that you go, God,
Perfect fit.
that's it right there. It fits. That fits me.
Laura, I wanted to ask you just because you're talking about being a therapist, and does that,
Hmm.
I'm assuming that involves some type of talk therapy with clients and things of
Yeah.
that nature.
So I do talk therapy. I'm definitely work with individuals with depression, trauma, substance use disorder, and anxiety. And I do a lot of talk work. I'm also a trauma therapist. So there's so much, the way our thinking impacts all of those things plays a vital role in my therapeutic process with my clients.
Yeah, I was curious about that because, a lot of what we're taught is really, to stay focused on what we want to have happen and focused on a purpose or a desire and, kind of being present, but more looking ahead than we are looking behind. Right. And
Hmm.
I wonder how, or if your thinking at all has changed in the way that you deliver your talk therapy, just, on the basis of, do you find that you're less inclined to have people kind of ruminate over the past? Are you more like able to guide them in a different way? Can you talk about maybe how you've adapted some of these principles or into your therapy, just kind of the
Yeah.
changes that you might have made along those lines? I think that would just be an interesting place to dive into a little, given that that's your field.
Right. So again, as a trauma therapist and someone who really aligns with cognitive behavior therapy, a big part of what I do as a therapist is help individuals understand the origins of where these things come from, but also learning how to reframe them, and the different ways in which I do that. But a big part of what I do is I've used a lot of the strategies that I've always used, but they just mean so much more now to me. Now going through Napoleon Hill Institute and working in that area is the use of auto suggestions or affirmations, the use of
Mhm.
gratitude, the use of really writing out our vision for ourselves. And so a lot of what I do as part of the process of working with my clients is I use my clinical skills, but then I use these different tools to help elevate their mood so that they are in a more productive place to move forward with their healing versus staying into that negative space of this has happened to me, or those negative beliefs of I'm not good enough, or I can't have this or can't have that. It's really about what are those strategies that we can use right now in this moment that can move us forward. There's a whole field of psychology called positive psychology that talks about when we look for positives, we are more likely to see more
Fine.
positives. And so gratitude, when we can really be grateful for every single thing that we have in our life, then it actually is shown to decrease depression and anxiety. And can you imagine if that's how you focus your day, then how your day shifts and how your mood shifts, then that makes us way more successful at reaching our goals. So it's this beautiful interplay of all the different skill sets I have, but also really embracing the principles of Napoleon Hill. And it's so funny the number of people have said, "So this there's this really good book called Think and Grow Rich," and it's life changing. Or I've talked about outwitting the devil, and so I am combining what I've done all the years of training and expertise. Also now though with my brand new understanding of the principles of success and whatever success looks like for a person. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be creating a thriving practice, right? As a therapist, it could be success is having a healthy relationship with my body or having a healthy relationship or
Yes.
having healthy relationships. There's so much that success incorporates, right? And so I just love that it all fits for me. And it's not like it just flows naturally, right? And so it's a part of who I am now. So all the stuff that I've done that's been evidence-based, scientifically researched stuff is actually stuff that's coming out in the Napoleon Hill Institute and just cementing all that I'm doing with this newfound sense of I mean, joy is what I mentioned it earlier. It's joy and happiness and peace. Like life is just more beautiful now. And so I can incorporate all that together with what I do as a clinician.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that and dive in a little bit more in that area. I appreciate that. I wanted to dive into more of the things that you do like on a regular basis because you had mentioned a few like the affirmations or we're calling them auto suggestions, and we'll be discussing that in, I believe, May, right, Nick?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, but how do you what are some of your like daily consistent practices that help you strengthen um, your faith and your belief in yourself and keep you held to your vision? Like what does that look like on a practical daily basis if you were to tell people like this is how I practice faith?
So, well, through the thanks to Napoleon Hill Institute, I get up every morning and do some mornings begrudgingly, but usually every morning I get up and I'm a part of the self-discipline camp. And what I found is that period of meditation and really focusing on gratitude and my goal starts my day off in a way that I used to dislike having to get up. I love sleep, but having to get up, I'm like, oh, I was always like running really behind. And now I get up every morning, I do that call. And what's beautiful is right after I go into exercise, which I can honestly say has always been, something I didn't really enjoy. I get up and work out. I get ready for the day. I start my day. I've found that on the way into work, I'm also listening to uplifting um, books that I love Audible, and I listen to books and whether it's Napoleon Hill or another like Bob Proctor or something like that, I'm always listening to things that are uplifting to me and like are really I think imprinting in my subconscious and my conscious mind, the things that I want to think, the things I want to know. Um, and throughout the day, I mean, I also, if you could see the back behind me in front of my desk, I have sticky notes that have all these different auto suggestions or affirmations. Like everything's always working out for me. Do the work and you'll get to the destination. Speak about what you want until you receive what you've spoken about, so that's kind of how throughout my day. And then, again, on the way home from work, I'm listening to either inspirational things or high energy music that makes me happy at night. Before falling asleep, I think about who I want to be, who I'm becoming. So
Yeah.
it's a constant like integration into my day to day that helps me stay on this level and this energy. So I have to do that every single day, because if not, like I notice on the weekends, I'm not always getting up at 5:30 in the morning, right? But I have to incorporate my exercise and my affirmations and all that to really keep me in that energetic place that makes me excited about Monday morning again and getting up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the
Yeah.
morning.
You make it
So
it makes it sound like it's a lifestyle.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's not just something, again, after the first week of being on that self-discipline camp about 7 months ago, life is just my whole structure of my day is different, right? So I get up every morning and I do these things.
Wow.
At first, I hadn't incorporated exercise, but then with my coach, she and I kind of got to the next piece. And then, I just have found that it is a lifestyle. It's a new way of being. And, I'm not staying up till 10, 11 o'clock at night watching TV. I'm like going to bed because I want to get up early and start my day. And I used to be the person that would like, oh, it's midnight. I need to go to bed. Now I'm like, oh, it's almost 9. I think it's bedtime. And I want to go get a good night's sleep. So it is a lifestyle now. It is not just these little things I'm checking off. This is
Mhm.
just how I live my day.
Yeah. And you feel that carry over like in probably every other aspect of your life, right? Like
Oh,
it
absolutely.
sets you up for, you know, your
It's
home life, work life, it just,
right.
you know, the whole thing. That's great.
And I think because I am, I'm living it, it makes a positive impact on my partner, on my son. I mean, it's just everybody that I come into contact with. I literally had someone say, "Are you always so positive?" And I was like, "Yes, yes,
Now
I
she
am.
is.
It is, yeah, I have to be because my positivity is what keeps me happy." And so, it's not just, I don't just put it on for show. That's who I am. So, yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. I wanted to dive into the area when, talking about a leap of faith. And, sometimes that faith requires taking a leap and there's not really a net there, right?
Right.
And so have you ever faced a moment where you had to step forward with no guarantees? And kind of what was that like for you to go through that?
Well, yeah, I did. I had a very a significant moment, a sentinel event in my life. Like I had worked 22 years for a large hospital here, was a coordinator of a treatment program. I loved my job. And then all of a sudden, I became really burned out and discontented in what I was doing. And so I literally made the decision because I thought I couldn't do this on my own. I was like, well, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to go work with a coworker or a colleague of mine, and I'll just kind of work alongside her. Well, the universe had a different plan. Literally, that plan fell through, and within 24 hours, I had I had just quit my job of 22 years, and I had no plan of where I was going to go next. And God stepped in, the universe stepped in, whatever you want to call it. And I found out through another colleague about an office, the actual office that I'm in, that was available. I met the owner of the building. She graciously accepted me in, and I literally went from planning to work alongside someone to building my own practice within a month. And God
Wow.
aligned everything, but it was the scariest thing of my life because I was a single mom. I was going from having all these benefits and a consistent pay to being my own business, having to take care of it all by myself, having to afford self-insured
Yeah.
insurance plans and all of that. And I literally just had to step out and say, okay, God, you made me discontent enough to move. And then you put this other kind of obstacle in place. And he aligned things so perfectly. And I think because I had that beautiful experience that I know that my faith in my higher power is in play, but I also had learned to have faith in myself because I never thought I could do this on my own. And not only have I done it on my own, obviously with lots of support, but I have a thriving practice that now I'm just growing and building, and I want to do so much more. And I think that event made me realize that I have a higher power, a God who's going to help me, but also it established faith in myself. And that's just been building and building over the last 6.5 years in private practice. So that was that's been a like, okay, I'm jumping. Let's see what happens. And I've just been blessed every moment since.
That's
Wow.
fabulous. That's really great. Congratulations on how your practice and building that and everything. That's really awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
You had mentioned earlier about, sometimes the beliefs aren't ours or
Hmm.
whatnot. I'm wondering if you could talk about when we outgrow, like, have you outgrown beliefs, and
Mm,
have you had to like redefine them or, have faith in a new direction because it's just kind of fundamentally what you've thought or believed has significantly changed?
Yeah, I think really that comes significantly in my religious faith. And that's kind of filtered into everything that I'm doing. Being raised in the Christian faith, obviously I believe in God and Jesus, but what happened through this process of recognizing that from a Christian perspective, we have a Bible that tells us, how to live life, but also recognizing that for me, God is so much more than just what the Christian
mm,
faith has defined him as. And so I still believe in God and the Christian God, but I see him larger and bigger and more a part of everything than this maybe distant um, figure or energy. I see him in every single thing, and I see that the Bible is has a lot of wonderful instructions about how to think, how to act, and values that we should have. But God is so much more than just what the Christian faith, to
mm,
me, has always taught me. So everything that I experienced, just like, for example, there's scripture about asking for what you want to believe and receive. And that took on the Christian perspective, but also the law of attraction and all the universal laws have become so much more awakened in me through my faith, but also recognizing that
wow.
there's so much more than just what I was taught all my life. And so being able to read Neville Goddard and to understand things, I remember the first time I listened to Neville Goddard, I was like, no, this is so against what I believe. And I literally kept one of his books in my Audible library. And then as I grew listening with Bob Proctor and Wayne Dyer and all these different wonderful individuals, I started to understand what Neville Goddard was saying. And so then my understanding of God, universe, infinite intelligence, however we want to describe it, for me, it's God. It's so much more. And so, mm, you know, I I've shared some of the ways I believe with my family, and I get oh, okay. I
Yeah.
get that like, oh, okay. And it just my belief in God and really the belief that I'm a soul having a human experience has
Mm,
become so enriched by how my expansion of faith and how my beliefs have transformed to me in a much more, I don't know, it's just a beautiful larger sense of seeing things so differently and so beautifully and knowing that that is the God that I grew up believing in, but he's so much bigger and larger and more beautiful than I think I was ever made to believe.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing with like just very personally about that question. I know that can be like a little invasive when it comes to religion and whatnot, but I just love how you just articulated all of that. I think it really summed that up nicely. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
I can
Laura,
see
have
that.
you ever faced self-doubt or any like external circumstances that made you feel like you couldn't become the person that you wanted to become?
Yes. So, oh yeah, I mean, I think back to when I was married and I'm divorced now for many years, but I remember that I had such an identity of being a wife and a mom, which are beautiful, right? And I also had this identity of being a therapist. And but when one of those identities got rocked with divorced, I was incredibly doubtful of how can I do this? Like, how can I be a single mom? How can I have a career? How can I raise my son and be a good example? And would I ever find love again? And, who's going to want an older divorced mom with, so yeah, I had a profound period of self-doubt and disbelieving that you can't have it all. Like I would say that's been a big part of my adult life up until the last 7 years of believing that I couldn't have it all. Something has to suffer, right? So my marriage suffered. My finances are going to suffer because I'm single. I can only get to such a level in my career. So yeah, I have had a profound period of self-doubt and loss of who I was. Um, and I would say that, I have a wonderful relationship with my ex-husband, and we both I'm so proud of the fact that we co-parent and have our entire, the time that we've been divorced. But I have to say that my divorce was the most pivotal moment in my life because I would have never been where I'm at today if I hadn't gone through such a difficult experience and learned so much about myself and realized that I'm absolutely worthy and deserving of every single thing I want in my life. And I
Yes,
no
you are.
longer allow myself to step back and wait for it to maybe happen. So sometimes we go through really hard times in our life, and it actually turns out to be one of the biggest blessings of our life. And that's kind of I'm just so grateful for the growth that I had to experience in order to be this person that I am today. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I would
it's
say
great that
profound doubt was
yeah,
was it.
I think
Yeah.
it's great that you can see, that it was necessary for your growth and how positive it actually turned out to be, just
Yeah.
for you as a person and, for all of the situations in your life. Like everything sort of realigned itself after.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Laura, if someone's listening right now and they feel stuck or they feel like they're losing faith in their dreams or they can't stay, uh, fixed with their goal, what would you say to them to help them?
If it works, keep doing it. Don't stop doing it just because there's a moment where you feel like you backslid or a moment where you're feeling doubt. It's keep doing what works. And surround yourself with people who, honestly, this was a big thing for me, who are going to fill you up and feed you, but who aren't going to sit there and go, "You're right, your life sucks. You should be very unhappy." Right? Like it's also about what we bring into our lives, what we allow into our brain. I
Yeah.
don't listen to the news because that affected me. For after COVID, I really haven't listened to the news very much. I'm very mindful of what I watch, who I surround myself with, because I need people who are going to help me stay where I want to be versus
Yes.
drag me down to where misery loves company. And and so for me is like when we start feeling like we're losing our faith or feeling stuck, that's when to lean into those people who can light the fire back within us. And that's when we start listening to more things that feed our soul versus make us be like in a negative mindset. So truly, and it's about, to me, I have my dream, I have my vision, I have a vision board, and I gotta look at that some days and be like, okay, wait a minute, that's what I'm going for. Have visual pictures of what it is that you want. Look at it every day. I write things all over my bathroom mirror, that I need to know every day, and I make myself read it. I also practice a lot of self-love, even in the moments where I don't feel so loving. I make sure I tell myself, like, you got this. I love you. You're amazing. Whatever it is I need to know. So it's hard when we're losing faith and feeling stuck, but we can't choose to stay there. I used to always tell the kids in my groups, it's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way.
Mhm.
And so we have to have a support system. We have to have people who are going to say, "Hey, you're slacking. I'm not seeing you doing this, or I'm not noticing that you're doing what you need." We need accountability partners. We need people who are going to check in on us and who are going to they know our goals and our dreams, and they're going to check in and ask how you doing with that. So I think it's about support. I think it's about accountability, and I think about it's keeping ourselves accountable to do what works. So I can't stop listening to things that uplift me. I can't stop telling myself the things I want to know and believe. I can't stop engaging in the things that light my soul. So it's just don't stop. We don't have the easy button. Those life is easy buttons. We don't have that. If we did, that'd be great. I'd just keep pushing that sucker every time I had a chance. But life isn't always easy, but it definitely, we always have to know that if we're in a down moment, don't worry, a good moment's coming. We can't stay, if we're in a valley, there's going to be a mountain,
Yes, ma'am.
and we just have to keep moving. We can't allow ourselves to just stop.
So speaking of things that you listen to,
Mhm.
I've been asking each of our guests if they have so if you have a song that you actually like just connect to that maybe keeps you connected to either your purpose or that keeps you, feeling faith and holding on to that.
Yeah, there is, and I can never remember the artist. So when you said that, I was like, oh,
Oh, you gotta look it
um,
up.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna pull it up on my Spotify and
Yeah.
see if I can find the name. There, of course, I have some really great, Christian songs that like get that really keep me going. Like Ann Wilson has one called Devil, and it's about like, you know, God fought the devil, right? And he's not gonna win. And so, but there's also a beautiful, and this is the one I can't remember. It's I Am Light. And I
Yeah.
can't remember who sings it, so give me just a second. Um, I'm really bad. I know the name of songs. It's
That's
India RE. And it's called I Am Light. And it's just a really beautiful song that reminds us of like I am a being of light and that I don't come, I'm not a product of I'm not my past, I'm a light.
Mm.
Like it's just a really beautiful song. I first kind of came connected to it hearing Wayne Dyer and his daughter sang it,
oh
and I
wow.
was like, oh, I love those words. Um, and so I Am Light's a big one, but anything that kind of reminds me of like that,
Yeah.
I'm light, I'm a soul, and also that I have a power bigger than me who's got my back, you
Yes.
know?
I love that.
Oh,
And I love how
So
I know you believe that like wholeheartedly, or you have faith in that completely because
right,
you're always like able to like go right back there. You're
right,
yes.
always like,
yeah,
I can get right back there. Like I have, this is always working out for me. The universe looks
yeah,
out for me. God looks out for me. Like that's all. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, and I do. I'm a big believer of songs and books, and like I think that's how God speaks a lot to me is through those modalities to kind of keep telling me um, of the plans that He has for me and the purpose that my soul is here for. Like He's done some pretty cool stuff about connecting with me with people and books and music. So that those are the things that just keep sustaining me even when I have difficult moments.
All right. Well, Laura, it's really been wonderful to have you with us on our show today. And I hadn't met you before. I didn't know you, but I've really enjoyed like hearing from you, and especially with your therapist background. I've always been fascinated about, how this information could maybe change a
Mm.
little bit of a perspective in therapy, or how we,
Abs-
going and kind of rehashing everything. Um, I just think of like my own times when I've gotten to counseling here or there, like, it was just kind of staying in one loop of going over the same things and not really
Right,
feeling that forwardness. So it just gives a different perspective to that. And I
right,
think it's especially in the work that you do, like with addiction counseling and stuff, I think that can be hugely um, beneficial in that realm.
right,
So I'm excited to hear all of your the future success you'll have, and I'm sure the current successes that you're having now. But that just congratulations to you again on establishing your own practice. Like, just living in the faith to get where you are today. And that, you also recognize too that you're not done growing, right? Like there's still so much more and that you just keep at it. But it sounds like from what you've shared with us today that this is applying these principles works for you and it has really impacted your life and your ability to stay on track and accomplish things like this and everything that you'll do in the future as well. So just again, kudos, congratulations, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being with us. Nick, thank you for finding Laura. Been amazing. I'm so grateful.
New relationships.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you so much, Nick, for inviting me. Julie, it's been wonderful to
Our
meet you.
pleasure.
And this just, today came at a really important time for me. I've had a little off week and now I just feel like my soul's been reignited. I'm so excited and I just want to say thank you for the energy that you shared with me and for helping me to accomplish something that I've never done before. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you. Wow, what a conversation. Laura's story and her insights remind us that faith isn't just a belief, it's a tool. It's a living, breathing power that can pull us through the darkest chapters and anchor us in our worth. If something Laura shared resonated with you today, don't let it stop here. Connect with her directly at truesdalecounselingservices.com. As always, thank you for joining us on this journey. If you're loving these real conversations about mindset, meaning, and the moments that shape us, don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who needs it. Until next time, keep thinking for yourself. Keep growing rich the human way.